Now, I should have known when I did my last video that someone was going to misinterpret at least one thing I said. So let me clarify something real quick. When I did my little mini rant, you know me, I haven't stopped doing my rants. I had a rant a few weeks ago that was supposed to be my last rant. The last rant of Rambo, not Rambo, but Rambo. a lot of my listeners and viewers have gotten a kick out of me nicknaming myself Rambo. Rambo, the last rant. But yeah, when I did my rant on, I can't remember what that day was. Was that Thursday? Either Thursday or Friday. About Sanaa Lathan and this guy, DJ Kid. I made the comment that I said, I don't mess around with street bitches. Street bitches. And I didn't get too much negative feedback from that comment, but I had a couple guys that that said, well, I actually got one email from a female listener, and I think I got 2 or 3 responses from male. One guy said, well, Alan, something to the effect of, Alan, with all due respect, I would say the vast majority of black women are from the streets. That's not true. I would disagree with that. Now, depending on what city and state you grew up in and your family background, that could be true or that could be not so true. Because I can only speak for myself. I would say starting with my freshman year in college up until now, I would say at least no less than 55 to 60% of the black women I've socialized with have been women that were from middle class and upper middle class backgrounds. I would arguably say more than that. I would say as high as probably 75 to 80% of the black women I've interacted with. But I would say at minimum, I would say no less than 55 to 60% of the black women I've interacted with at like parties, social events, and just, just in life in general, have been black women that have come from middle class and upper middle class backgrounds. The last time I would say that over 50% of the women I interacted with, black women I interacted with, were like ghetto or at least semi-ghetto type women, was probably when I was in high school. But starting with my freshman year in college up until now, so to the guy who said that, I already responded to him in my comment section, but he said just about all black women are from the streets and from the ghetto. That's not true. Now, for some guys, that might be true. It depends on what city and state you grew up in, what neighborhood you grew up in. For some brothers, that's probably true. For some brothers, probably 90% of the black women they've interacted with in their life have been sisters from the streets. But that hasn't been true for me. I grew up in a middle class neighborhood in Gary, Indiana, a neighborhood called Miller Beach. And Miller Beach, if anybody knows Gary, Indiana, that was considered the most affluent area of Gary, Indiana, was Miller Beach, Indiana. Now, even in Miller Beach, we had some street types that lived in Miller Beach, but compared to a lot of other neighborhoods of Gary, Miller Beach was a very affluent area of Gary, Indiana. And so anyway, that's one disagreement I had. But even more prominently, I had a woman write me. She said, Alan, I'm going to have to listen to your video again, but it sounded like you were saying that all black women who either A, did not go to college at all, or B, went to college but didn't get their degree, were street bitches. And she said, if that's true, that's what you said. She said, I vehemently disagree with that. She said, I didn't finish college and I'm nowhere near street. No, that's not, I'll say this, that's not what I said. And if I did imply that, it was not intentional. Because matter of fact, one of my ex-girlfriends that a lot of people are familiar with, a young lady named Tyler Collins, she went to college, but she didn't finish. She went to the University of Maryland, but she didn't finish. But she was anything but street. Yeah, she was anything but street. She didn't have any type of street sensibilities in her. And so if somebody got that impression, I didn't get that from anybody else other than this one particular female listener viewer. But yeah, she says she felt like I was implying that just about all black women who either didn't go to college at all or went to college and didn't finish were ghetto or street bitches. No, that's not true. No, I know quite a few sisters that went to college and didn't finish that are not street. And I even know some sisters that didn't go to college at all that I met through in the entertainment industry that were not particularly street or ghetto. So that's my quick clarification from my last video. Now here's something that tickled my fancy on that somebody sent me on Twitter. And that's now if anybody owns my book, the ebook version, the paperback version, or preferably the audiobook version of Ooh Say It Again, there's one chapter in Ooh Say It Again that I talk about one of the number one questions, mode one related questions I used to be known for, particularly when I lived in LA. Was the question, so, when we fucking? That was like my classic, I would say particularly in situations where a woman initiated a conversation with me. Yeah, almost any time I was in a social setting and say a woman approached me and she initiated a conversation with me, at some point, usually within the first 5 minutes of that conversation, sometimes within usually the first minute or two of that conversation, no later than roughly the 5-minute mark, I was always end up going to say, so, when we fucking? And I had a buddy who actually said I should have had a billboard, because if you're familiar with Los Angeles, they have billboards all over the place, but particularly in Hollywood, like Sunset Boulevard and Hollywood Boulevard. And one of my friends said, man, ARC, man, you should have a billboard on Sunset Boulevard that's just you standing like in a nice suit with your hands out to the side, and the caption underneath the picture says, so, when we fucking? And then it had the Mo 1 logo on it. But yeah, that was my classic line to women, is so, when we fucking? Anyway, guy sent, forwarded some woman on Twitter who goes by the name Basic Bisexual Bitch. Basic Bisexual Bitch. And in her tweet, she wrote, I have lost a lot of male friends, in quotes, because they fell in love with me and I wasn't interested. I tried to be friends with my man when we first met. The second night we hung out, he said, so are we fucking or not? We have 3 daughters now, and our 8-year anniversary is coming up. Mode 1, baby. I ain't got much respect for her boyfriend or cohabitation partner, or I don't know if he's her husband, and she wouldn't have said husband, but yeah, see, that's I like that. That guy, I wonder if he read my book. But yeah, man, again, that used to be my classic question to women, man. So, when we fucking? Because my attitude was, one of the reasons I would ask that question is because if a woman was to initiate a conversation with me and she wasn't interested in us having sex at any point in the near or distant future. I didn't want her wasting my time. I didn't want her wasting my time. So that you could say that question was my way of quickly identifying women who were rejectors and women who were manipulative time wasters. Women who were rejectors and women who were manipulative time wasters. As you know, I got 5 archetypes of women in my books: reciprocators, rejectors, wholesome pretenders, erotic hypocrites, and manipulative time wasters. And that question was geared towards helping me quickly identify women who are rejectors or manipulative time wasters. Yeah, I would always say, so, when we fucking. And of course, a lot of people used to have different reactions. Like, some guys should be like, damn, man, that's kind of rude to ask that question, man. That's kind of socially inappropriate to ask a woman that question. And some women would trip out. Oh my God, I can't believe you said that to me. Oh my God, I can't believe you asked me that. Shit, I'm all about getting to the point. Again, man, I didn't want no woman who wasn't interested in having sex with me wasting my motherfucking time. Plain and simple, man. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people paid attention to when I showed people my excerpt from my 1997. Wait, we talking about what, 22 years ago? 1997 version. Matter of fact, that version I showed you of Mo 1, that was my first copyrighted version of Mo 1. That was the first version that I wrote of Mo 1 that I got copyrighted. Yeah, I copywrote that, had that copywritten in either October or November of 1997. Yeah, but you notice in that excerpt I showed from my 1997 version of Mo 1, I said, paraphrasing my own words, I said, the number one objective for being Mo 1 is actually not to get laid. And I have to point that out to guys over and over and over again. A lot of guys think the reason I came up with Mo 1 was solely and specifically to help men get laid. No. The number one objective of Mo 1 is actually so you can quickly and effectively identify the women who don't want to give you some pussy. It's not so you can quickly and effectively identify the women who do want to give you some pussy, even though, in my opinion, Mo 1 accomplishes that objective too. But the main purpose of being Mo 1 is so you can quickly and effectively identify rejectors and even more so manipulative time wasters. Manipulative time wasters, man. I hate I could go on for 2 hours talking about my hatred for I don't like women who are manipulative time wasters, man. I don't want a woman wasting my time, and even more so my time and my money, if she ain't trying to give up no pussy, man. I mean, it's just like my current girlfriend, man. She'll tell you herself, man. I mean, we talked about fucking our very first conversation. We talked about fucking literally our very first telephone conversation. We was talking about fucking. I don't waste no time with women, man. I ain't gonna go like 2-3 conversations talking about general bullshit and then bring up sex in like the 3rd, 4th, or 5th conversation with a woman. No. My normal routine is I'm usually gonna bring up my desire to have sex with a woman within the first 5, at bare minimum within the first 10 minutes of my very first conversation with a woman. There's been a few exceptions where I had to wait until maybe the beginning of my second conversation, like if my first conversation was real quick, out on the streets or something. But generally, now I talk about fucking within the first 5, no more than 10 minutes of my first conversation. Sometimes I've talked about fucking within the first like 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds of my very first conversation with a woman. That's what I call Mo 1 hardcore. Mo 1 hardcore. Now, I've had conversations where literally within the first 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds of my very first conversation with a woman, I was talking about fucking. So, one of the things I wanted to talk about in this video is simply, and some people might accuse me of being a little preachy with this one, as I've gotten that before. But I wrote one of my first articles that I wrote when I started writing for O'Shea Duke Jackson's website, The Negro Manosphere. It was called, There Are Ethics to Getting Laid. There are ethics to getting laid. And one thing I was telling a client recently, we were talking about a lot of different things. And this particular client was admitting to me that he had basically fucked over a lot of women in his past. That he had broken a lot of women's hearts. He had lied to a lot of women, cheated on a lot of women, misled and manipulated a lot of women. And one of the things I told him, I said, man, one of my number one objectives when dealing with women is I never want to leave a woman mentally and or emotionally damaged. Mentally and or emotionally damaged after I interact with her. I don't want a woman to ever be in a worse shape, mentally and emotionally, in worse shape after she deals with me than she was before she dealt with me. I don't want a woman to either be the same as she was or better. The same or better. But I don't want no woman to be worse after she's dealt with me, whether it was a one-night stand, a weekend fling, a 3-month short-term monogamous relationship, a long-term relationship, whatever. I don't ever want a woman to be worse mentally and emotionally after she deals with me than before she started dealing with me. That's one of my personal objectives, man. Yeah, man. And that's why, as you know, I think it goes without saying, man, I get irritated, man, when I hear guys on social media or here on YouTube almost blatantly admitting that they want to just fuck over women. Yeah, that they have no problem like lying to women. They have no problem cheating on women. They have no problem misleading and manipulating women. They have no problem treating women like shit. Man, I have an issue with that shit, man. I always ask the question, would you want somebody treating your mother like that? Would you want somebody treating your sister like that? Would you want somebody treating your daughter like that? Your niece? Your granddaughter if you're older? Would you want somebody treating one of your female relatives like that? You know, and the first response I always get from men is, well, there's women out here that treat men like shit. There's women out here who lie to men. There's women out here who cheat on men. There's women out here who mislead and manipulate men. I know a couple of dating coaches who have even said that. That's their justification for fucking over women. They're like, well, women fuck over men. Number one, my response would be, so 2 wrongs make a right. So 2 wrongs make a right. Yeah, my attitude is you should always strive to be blameless. Let me repeat that. You should always strive to be blameless. If you're dealing with a woman that's a fucked up bitch, let her be a fucked up bitch. Show the world that she's a fucked up bitch. But why add to it? Why add to the woman being a fucked up bitch by you being a fucked up asshole? Shit, if something goes wrong with any relationship I'm in with a woman, shit, I want the woman to get 90% or more to blame. I don't want people blaming me for shit. And that's one reason why I don't lie to women. I don't cheat on women. I don't mislead or manipulate women. I don't want any woman walking this earth to be able to say, Alan Roger Currie dogged me out. Alan Roger Currie lied to me. He made me think he was in love with me just to get in my pants. He cheated on me. You know, he made me think I was going to be his future girlfriend or his future wife, when in reality, he just wanted a fuck buddy. He toyed with my emotions. I don't want no woman to be able to say that shit about me. None. And they haven't been able to. You ain't going to be able to find a woman that can legitimately say, Alan Roger Currie fucked over me. I dare any woman, starting with the age of 22 up until now, I would dare a woman to suggest that I fucked over her. I ain't never had a woman say that I fucked over her. Now, I would say starting roughly the age of 22 up until now, I can't think of any woman I've dealt with, whether it was casual or more serious, that was able to tell her girlfriends or female acquaintances and other people that Alan Roger Currie fucked over me. Ain't no woman been able to say that shit about me. Because there's ethics to my game, man. There's ethics. And before I wrap this up, I'm going to tell a quick story that I've told probably a couple times in 2017, a couple times in 2018. I want to say I don't think I've told this story in 2019, so I'm going to tell it for at least the fifth, maybe sixth time. But I was in Las Vegas for Sasha Day Game's second direct dating summit event. And he had this guy who was a videographer. And the videographer came in the room with like 3 or 4 other guys. They had been chatting with each other. And he said, Alan, I forget where he's from. He wasn't from the United States. He was from Europe, somewhere in Europe. And he said, Alan, he said, man, I read your Mode 1 book. He said, I liked it. Overall, I would say I liked your Mode 1 book. But he said, I had one issue with your Mode 1 book. He said, the one problem I had with your Mode 1 book, man, it seemed like you trying to incorporate ethics, the idea of morals, values, and ethics into getting laid. And he said, man, you can't do that. And him and these 4 other guys, they started laughing, basically laughing at me. And they, his buddies was basically like shaking their heads like, yeah, getting laid has nothing to do with morals, values, or ethics. And I said, really now? That has nothing at all to do with morals, values, or ethics. He said, none whatsoever. I said, so you saying that getting laid is all about the ultimate objective. In other words, the end. Remember I did a video last year called There Are Some Men Who Are the End Justifies the Means type people. The end justifies the means. Most people know what that phrase means, but I always like to assume there's 1% of people who might be ignorant. To say that somebody is an end justifies the means type means essentially that person doesn't care about how they go about achieving a goal or accomplishing an objective as long as they achieve the goal or accomplish the objective. For example, if your objective was to become a millionaire, you wouldn't care if you had to break the law to become a millionaire. You might resort to robbing a bank. You might resort to becoming like a drug dealer. Even if you had to break the law to become a millionaire, you're going to concentrate on getting that $1 million. So you could say, I'm a millionaire. That would mean your end justifies the means. When your end justifies the means, you tend to throw morals, values, and ethics to the side. You don't really give a fuck about morals, values, and ethics. All you care about is, did I achieve this goal? Did I accomplish this objective? Yeah, that means you're an end justifies the means type of person. If all you care about is, did you achieve this goal? Did you accomplish this objective? And when it comes to getting pussy, there's a lot of guys like that, man. There's a lot of guys that will rape a woman to get some pussy, date rape a woman to get some pussy, put date rape drugs in a food or drink to get some pussy. They will lie to women to get some pussy. They will cheat on their wife, fiance, or girlfriend to get some pussy. They will mislead, manipulate, and toy with a woman's emotions to get some pussy. A lot of guys don't give a fuck about morals, values, and ethics. All they care about is, I want some pussy from this particular woman. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get some pussy from this particular woman. And see, Alan Roger Currie don't roll like that, man. I don't roll like that. I think by now, everybody should know that about me. I don't roll like that, man. If I can't get pussy by letting a woman know in an upfront, specific, and straightforwardly honest manner that that's what I want, then I don't want the pussy. For example, if I want short-term, non-monogamous pussy, I let women know that. If I want short-term monogamous pussy, I let women know that. If I want long-term, non-monogamous sexual companionship, I let women know that. If I want long-term, strictly monogamous sex, I let women know that. I don't try to mislead women about the type of sexual companionship I want. But there's a lot of motherfuckers out there who do. And anyway, going back to these guys in Vegas, that's how this guy was. He said, man, morals, values, and ethics has nothing to do with getting laid. He said it emphatically, too. He said, that has nothing to do with getting laid. I said, really now? And he said, yeah. And again, him and his buddies was laughing. So, of course, I had to put him to the Allen Roger Currie test. I said, is that right? He said, that's right. I said, nothing. I wanted to clarify. I said, has nothing to do with it. He said, nothing. I said, okay. I said, you know what? You might be right. I said, why don't you and I go out this afternoon in Vegas and find two 14-year-old girls to have sex, group sex with? And he said, what? 14-year-old girls? He said, man, I ain't trying to have sex with no underage girls. I said, wait a minute. You telling me you got some age-related morals, values, and ethics? Is that what you're telling me? And of course, he was like, touche, touche. Then I hit him with like two more. I said, okay, maybe that was a little too extreme. I said, why don't we find two women that are 21 years of age? They're legal. But here's what I'll do. While you talking to the two 21-year-old women behind their back, I'll put some date rape drugs in their food and drink so that we'll have an easier time getting in bed. He was like, what? Man, I ain't trying to put no date rape drugs. I said, wait a minute. You got some morals, values, and ethics when it comes to how you go about getting 21-year-old women in bed? And again, he was like, okay, clever, okay. Touche, touche. And it was funny. Again, he came in the room with like four guys. And at first, they were like his cheerleaders. They were co-signing with everything he said. But then when I started hitting them with those analogies, they start slowly getting up and leaving the table. Because I was shredding this dude. And there was a third one I gave him. I can't remember which one. I know the first one had to do with 14-year-old girls. The second one had to do with date rape drugs. I can't remember what my third. I gave him at least three analogies. And each one, he was like, nah. And basically what it came down to, I said, I thought you told me I thought you told me that morals, values, and ethics didn't have shit to do with getting laid. But I said, you just proved to me that they do. You may not have the exact same morals, values, and ethics that I do. You might not have the exact same morals, values, and ethics that I do, but you do. You just proved that you do have some degree of morals, values, and ethics. Because if a guy truly didn't have any morals, values, and ethics, I mean like none, he wouldn't give a fuck about fucking an underage girl. He wouldn't give a fuck about raping a girl. He wouldn't give a fuck about date raping a girl. He wouldn't give a fuck about kidnapping a woman and holding her hostage and fucking her. If he truly didn't have any morals, values, or ethics. See, there's a lot of motherfuckers who've tried to say that. They'd be like, Alan, man, you too much about these morals, values. I ain't about that when it comes to getting pussy. 90% of y'all are lying. Because if y'all was truly wanting about any morals, values, and ethics, I mean like that, y'all didn't care about morals, values, and ethics at all, again, y'all would be out here raping bitches. Y'all would be out here date raping women. Y'all would be putting a gun to a woman head and making her give you some pussy. Y'all wouldn't give a fuck. Don't give me that, oh, well, that's against the law. That's still morals. Most of the laws are based on morals and values and ethics. So don't give me that legality bullshit. A lot of y'all full of shit, man. What most of y'all got some degree of morals, values. Like the guy in Vegas, y'all got some degree of morals, values, and ethics. But then in other areas, y'all don't. Like when it comes to being straightforwardly honest about just wanting to have casual sex, a lot of y'all are ethically challenged. When it comes to adultery and infidelity, a lot of y'all are ethically challenged. When it comes to getting a woman alcohol or drugs in a woman's system and taking advantage of her, a lot of y'all are ethically challenged. But in other areas, y'all do got morals, values, and ethics, man. Bottom line, man, there's ethical ways to be a ladies' man and a womanizer, and there's unethical ways to be a ladies' man and a womanizer. It's that simple. There's ethical ways to be a ladies' man and a prolific womanizer, and there's unethical ways to be a ladies' man and a prolific womanizer. I'm all about the ethical route. Mo one, baby, to the day I die. To the day I die. Now, in my Patreon exclusive portion, I had a Patreon subscriber ask me about how do I think that watching too much porn and or masturbating too much can have negative effects on your sex life and lead to erectile dysfunction. I'll briefly talk about that in my Patreon exclusive portion. Now, I had somebody ask me, Alan, there's some other pickup artists and dating coaches who talk about the consequences and repercussions and negative effects of watching porn and or of masturbating, but I've never really heard you talk about this subject too much. They asked me, did I have a Negro Manosphere article about that or Examiner.com article about that? And I want to say I don't. Yeah, I don't think I've ever written an article either on Examiner.com or the Negro Manosphere related to either porn and or masturbation. Now, here's the thing. I think a lot of guys know that I've indulged in my share of masturbation, not from watching porn, but from having phone sex. Because since roughly 1991 up until now, I think most people should know this by now, I've had phone sex. Given a rough estimate, I've had phone sex with more than 2,100 women. Yes, more than 2,100 women, starting with roughly 1991. So that would be the last 28 years. Yeah, roughly the last 28 years, I've had phone sex with an approximate, if I had to give an approximate estimate, it would be no less than roughly about 2,100 women, with a large percentage of those women actually paying me money for phone sex, which I talk about in my book, Who Said Again. I used to be essentially a phone sex gigolo for women. I still occasionally do that. I haven't done that in a few weeks now, but in 2019, I've had women that have paid me for phone sex. So that's probably the one time I tend to masturbate is when I have phone sex. Like I don't really masturbate when I'm not having phone sex. I'd say only maybe 1 or 2% of the time have I masturbated beyond when I wasn't actively engaged in an episode of phone sex. But yeah, Brian, 97, 98% of my masturbation, starting with 1991, has occurred when I was engaged in phone sex. Actually, there's some benefits. If you go on Google and do your research, there's actually some benefits to masturbation. So I would say it's not totally a negative thing. It's not totally a positive thing. It's kind of a blend of both some positive aspects and some negative aspects. I know off the top of my head, one of the positive aspects, believe it or not, for older men who are middle-aged, like I say 35 years of age or older, did you know that masturbation can actually help you slow down or even prevent prostate cancer? Yeah, that's real talk. Masturbation can actually help you slow down or even totally prevent the onset of prostate cancer. So that's one of the benefits of masturbation. Like I've never had prostate cancer. Let me knock on wood. I've never had prostate cancer, and I'm 56. And some of my friends have had prostate cancer. Here's the biggest drawback to masturbating too much. Is that, I'm assuming that most people, when they masturbate, they're using their hand. Now, there are different toys you can use. I know one toy is called a fleshlight toy, kind of like a prosthetic pussy that some guys use for masturbation. Some people use a sock, just a typical sock. But most guys use their hand. See, the problem with your hand, man, is that you can adjust the grip of your hand You can adjust the grip of your hand to the point where you'll get used to that tight grip of your hand. And see, where it can fuck you up is that if you get masturbate so frequently to the point where you get used to a certain grip, a certain tightness around your dick, if you put your dick in a woman's pussy that's not particularly tight, you're not going to be able to get off. You're not going to be able to get off. Because you're going to feel like, well, damn, my pussy ain't that tight. It's because you're used to that tight grip of your hand, or it could be the tight grip of some toy you use or something like that. So, that's one thing you got to watch out for, man. And then secondly, if you watch too much porn, I'm not an anti-porn guy. Like, I've heard some guys say you shouldn't watch porn at all. I wouldn't go that far. I'll be honest. I watch porn from time to time. I mean, most of y'all know, man, it was a porn movie that was kind of part of the inspiration for Mode 1, which was Talk Dirty to Me and Talk Dirty to Me Part 2 in the early 1980s. That was part of my main inspiration for Mode. So I would never be anti-porn. But I will say this. If you're watching porn, see, it's so accessible now because of the internet. See, before the internet, porn wasn't as easily accessible as it is now. But now porn is extreme. Like when I was young, man, porn was kind of hard to come by, man. Yeah, it was kind of hard to come by. I mean, you had to go to like an adult book video store, which could be prove embarrassing, and yeah, man, it was just different. Getting access to porn when I was in the 80s and early to mid 90s, man, there was a time they used to have movie theaters for porn. Like, just like you have regular movie theaters, they used to have porn center movie theater. I went to a porn-oriented movie theater at least 4 or 5 times when I was in my late teens and early to mid 20s. Yep. I remember in Bloomington, Indiana. That's actually where I saw the sequel to Talk Dirty. Talk Dirty to Me Part 2. I actually first saw that in a theater. I didn't see that on VHS. I saw that in a movie theater in Bloomington. And then later I got it on VHS. But yeah, initially when I first saw Talk Dirty to Me Part 2, I felt creepy to motherfuckers, man. There wasn't no women in there. It was nothing but guys in the movie theater. And some of them had long overcoats, and they was, man, those guys, you could tell they was jacking off in the movie theater and shit. It was kind of creepy. It's kind of nasty, actually. But yeah, that's where a lot of guys would go to watch porn. Like, I remember one of the first porn movies I ever watched when I was in high school. Me and 3 of my male classmates and 2 of my female classmates, we went to see a porn movie at a porn theater when we were seniors in high school. And that's I don't even think those exist anymore. Once the internet came, those no longer existed. But anyway, what I was gonna say is the problem with porn, man, is that you can become, for lack of a better word, mentally and visually desensitized. Mentally and visually desensitized. What do I mean by desensitized? It's because if you watch a lot of porn, most porn is going to have women that are exceptionally beautiful and exceptionally sexy. Women with very nice faces, very nice tits, very nice asses. And the reality is, man, the average woman in life don't look like that. See, I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of young guys today, man, always put emphasis on wanting to hook up with 7, 8s, 9s, and 10s, because for the most part, that's all you see in porn. That's all you see in porn is typically women who are 7s and above. Yeah, I mean, there's exceptions here and there, but for the most part, you don't see women in porn that are like 4s, 5s, and even 6s. You might see a few 6s, but for the most part, most women in porn are 7s and above. Are 7s. On most guys' 1 to 10 scale, most women in porn are 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s. And if you get used to only seeing women who are 7, 8s, 9s, and 10s, but you're not able to hook up with 7, 8, 9s, and 10s in your real life, it's going to fuck with you. That's going to fuck with you, man. And then on top of that, a lot of the sexual scenarios in porn are extremely kinky. They're extremely kinky to the point that it'll make ordinary sex, or what's known as vanilla sex, seem extremely boring. It'll make vanilla sex or ordinary conventional sex seem extremely boring. So you got to watch out for that, man, because it stimulates your pleasure center in your brain. And once your pleasure center in your brain gets stimulated at a certain level, it's going to always want that level and higher. It's not going to want anything lower than that level. It's going to want that level and higher. That's what leads to addiction. Is when you get addicted to, like, say, cocaine, it's because cocaine stimulates a certain amount of pleasure in your brain at, say, this level. And then once you experience that pleasure at this level, you're going to want nothing but that level and higher. So I would never say you shouldn't watch porn at all, but I would say you should try to limit how much you watch it. How much you watch it. I wouldn't, like, if you're watching it like every day, every other day, that's not good. That's not good. That's not good. Same with masturbation. If you're masturbating every day, 2 to 3 times a day, that's not good. I mean, if you're masturbating like an average of once or twice a week, that shouldn't be no problem. But if you're masturbating like every day, twice a day, and watching porn too, every day, multiple times per day, that's not good. Yeah, so all of that can lead to erectile dysfunction problems, which can prove embarrassing. I've had at least a handful of erectile dysfunction problems in my life with women, particularly as I've grown older. I'll tell you 2 other things that can negatively lead to erectile dysfunction other than excessive masturbation or excessive watching of porn. Poor diet. If you eat just a bunch of bullshit food, particularly a bunch of high sugar foods, because like diabetes, I have type 2 diabetes. Diabetes, type 1 and type 2 diabetes can have a negative effect on your erection, the strength of your erections. Lack of exercise. If you don't exercise on a regular basis, that can have a negative effect on the strength of your erections. So you need to make sure you eat reasonably well and you exercise on a regular, at least semi-regular basis. Because, yeah, man, when you have too much sugar in your system and too much belly fat, that can have negative effects on the strength of your erections. So you want to keep that in mind. But other than that, yeah, man, just be reasonable when it comes to both how much porn you watch. And again, I wouldn't tell you not to masturbate at all. I'm not going to tell you not to watch porn at all. I think occasional masturbation is okay. I think occasional porn watching is okay. I would say excessive to me is anything more than roughly twice a week. If you're masturbating and or watching porn more than roughly twice a week, then you're starting to transition into an excessive amount. And that's not going to prove well for you. All right. I will be doing a live stream on Thursday. At either 4 o'clock Eastern or no later than 4:30 Eastern. If I don't do another video before then, I'll talk to you then. Peace.